as you consider the acrostic cast, character, attitude, skills, timing in regard to team members, here are some other helpful questions about the people who will join you for the church plant, specifically about leadership. You're asking the question, what values do they model? So put this all together with CAST and ask these questions carefully and take some time. Who do they have influence with? To put it another way, do they have influence? You want to look at someone's past behaviors. Those are going to determine future behaviors in many ways. Hopefully you've interacted with this person. I would say don't put anybody in leadership until you've had time to interact with them. Who do they have influence with? Do they have influence? How do they use their influence? Do they speak ill of other people when they're not around? Do they speak about people when they're not around? How do they model care for other people? As it says in the notebook here and on your screen, take time to investigate their lives, and hopefully this is already coming from relationship. But if it's not, do your homework just as you would with the staff hire. Make sure you take time. In a church plant, I get it. You just want warm bodies in some ways. You want people to say they'll come along and help, but it's wise to really slow down here. It's better to go forward with just a couple of the right people than it is to go forward of a team of people who have not been called to this church plant. And then finally, going back to the scriptures, allow them to be faithful with little before handling the greater things. In my church plants, especially in our second one here in the Temecula Valley, again, it was a parachute drop, and the people that came into initial leadership I knew well. I mentioned Dan and Kathy before. A lot of the other people were new, and so we tested them. We did not appoint an elder board or a governing board. We're part of the alliance, and our district superintendent was really our key leader, along with me as the pastor. And then I brought in some people, and I just watched them. We had some spiritually mature people who came onto the church plant, but we tested them by asking them to do just whatever needed to happen in the church to see if they were faithful. Someone with a true spirit of servanthood is going to be okay on doing what needs to be done, so you look for that. So as we saw these mature people do the simple tasks that needed to happen in the church, then I slowly asked them to come in and be advisors, and that was a process of a year and a half, and we didn't move to a board for 2 or 3 years of testing them. So take time and keep the key leadership with you and with your district superintendent if you're Alliance family, or with your greenhouse church, or however that works, with your steering committee, and don't hand it off too quickly. Moving on, we'll say that every church planter needs a few things, and it's wise if it's not the same person. They need a boss, and that I mean someone that they're accountable with, that they're accountable to. They need a coach. We always recommend that every church planter have someone who is coaching them. And of course, they need a friend, and I would say many friends. And again, it's best if these are not all the same person. If the one person is your boss, your coach, and your friend, you may not have the freedom that you need. Or if you are that person to a church planter, you may not get the real story if you're trying to put on the boss hat and then trying to put on the coach hat and trying to put on the friend hat. Now, if you are the person who is over some other church planters, of course, you want to coach them as you go. You want to be your friend. But we're advising the planters to have their point of accountability, have someone else who's their coach, and make sure they have some friends along the way.